When it comes to third-party control of Blackmagic design ATEM switches, SKAARHOJ are the original gangsters. We've been doing this for more than a decade, building dedicated control solutions for one of the most popular switcher families out there. And if you're an AV integrator, this is where it gets really interesting, because we've got the exact tool you need. The TCP Link for ATEM, and it does exactly what you want. It takes the simple TCP text commands, perfect for Crestron, Extron, AMX and other AV systems, and it translates them into the weird and wonderful ATEM UDP protocol. It's a small box, but it's a full-on protocol converter, and it makes third-party control actually work day in and day out. And in the latest version, TCP Link for ATEM does a whole lot more, and that's what we're diving into in this video. So it's a part of the Link.io platform, which is a renewed firmware platform for many of our utility boxes in SKAARHOJ, and this is what the UI looks like. This is network settings for the device. You have advanced settings for various other things. You can upload, download configs for it. You can factory reset, and we'll not be spending much time on that. But we want to make sure that we set up the IP address of the ATEM switcher, which is, let me see if I can remember this right. Hopefully, maybe this. Okay, so save and reboot. That's necessary when we do certain things on the network, like reconnecting or connecting to the ATEM switcher. Here you set up the IP address, you just wait for a few seconds, and there we go. We are connected to the ATEM switcher as it's confirmed right here, and this is how the commands look. So if you want to dive straight into it and see how this works with TCP Link's connection, what we can do is to bring up a terminal, and on Windows this is typically PuTTY, and you make a TCP connection to something. On a Mac this is called NC or Netcat, and we type in the IP address of the TCP Link for ATEM, which is, we see it up here in the URL line, 8.30, and then the port is 8899. And how do I know? Because this is actually written right here. So there is a little bit of instructions that will help us to be successful in connecting. So I'm doing that right now. I'm apparently connected to the box, and if I press the cut button over here, we will see a reflection coming back into our serial console, into our TCP connection to it, that indicates that something happened. Tally changed. Tally information changed. The program input source changed from 2 to 1 and vice versa as I pressed the cut button. If I select input sources, you see similar behavior, and basically I can press anything. So this is a great learning mode, because the cool thing is that I can actually change stuff back in the same way. So what if I take this one, selecting preview onto input number 4 on ME number 1 and change it to 3. Notice what happens on button number 3. As I press, it's changing. So it's really easy to learn, because you can basically just replay the commands using also the ATEM software control, which is, if I just find it right here, there we go. So if I press a button here like cut, you see that's the same effect that happens as I was just pressing the cut button over here on the switcher. So this is truly a text-based reflection of settings from within the ATEM switcher. By the way, there's like a full documentation right here. You click that link and you get to a PDF file that describes all of that, but it's really easy to learn your way into it, as you just saw. All right, so that's the basics of what this does, but it's also, if we look at the device itself, it has a few nice small things. For instance, it has a UI, web-driven UI for actually controlling the ATEM switcher. It's only for testing, so but you are invited to also use it for other things if this is useful for you, but it's actually just there for you without having that TCP connection to confirm that this is in fact the case, that we are connected and we can control the ATEM. That's why we brought it in. But actually that UI has even more going for it, because if you go into the HTTP tab of the UI, it will tell you how you could use HTTP commands to control the switcher. So let's just duplicate this tab. And if we do so, I would be able to then type in those commands, or just copy paste them. So for instance, if I want to execute a cut, I could copy paste this command, just paste it up here like that, and it did a cut. Now notice how if I reload this web browser, it's going to swap those two around. All right, what else could I do? Could I, for instance, set the program input video source to 3? That means number 3 is going to be red if I do this. So I'll just copy this and insert it after the IP address of the device. And there we go. Okay, so that's basically the commands that I had in the TCP UI right here is now available to you in the web browser, so you can use HTTP calls. That's another way to integrate the box, and that's a new one. Now, if you want a little bit of an overview of what can be done, you can also go to the About page, which tells you that TCP control, yes, HTTP control, USB serial control interface, even that, actually, yes. And that gives me a chance to talk about the SKAARHOJ Discovery, which is a new tool we've made to find our devices on the network. So if you look at this page here, we basically have a lot of SKAARHOJ devices on the network, and if I filter by typing ATEM, it will find the TCP link for ATEM. All the others were SKAARHOJ devices found on our network here at the company, but now we'll just take this one. If I press the open link, it's gonna open up the UI that we just came from. So great service there. And what I wanted to show is that it will also tell you these kind of things and so on. And this is now the point. That is, I have actually a USB connection from the device to my computer. And if you go to the USB tab, it sees that the TCP link for ATEM is also on USB. This is mostly used for firmware updating, the Link.io series, so it's definitely important for that. But I want to show you a little secret, which is if you toggle the serial monitor, there's a secret command that we can use. Now, the serial monitor is going to output various stuff from this one. It's more like debugging and management and stuff. You'll mostly be here to update firmware. But for those of you who would like to have USB-based control of an ATEM switcher, you can type in serial ATEM commands. And the moment you do that, you changes this monitor serial connection into a command interface with the exact same text-based format as we have just been using in the other cases. If you want to confirm that, let's copy this line. It says program input source to number 4. We type it in here. We change it to 1. That means number 1 here is going to be read as I execute that. So that was the USB connection that we just verified there. What else can we do? Going back to the UI, it tells us it's easy to get started with. I think it is. It's a really great UI and easy accessibility. Connectivity, you can connect to it with that and blah blah blah, and there's PoE, oh yes, and it has 12-volt power input on the other side. But one thing has not been mentioned, and also obviously not updated in here. Oh, by the way, there's a manual. I just want to highlight, if you click that link, you're gonna go straight to the manual for the product. Beautiful manual. So yes, okay, let's go back here. TSL. We added TSL support as well, and that's a pretty cool thing. It actually means, and it's really not the core of what this product does, but we just couldn't help ourselves and put it in. So what it will do is to actually take the tally information from your ATEM switcher and send out as TSL messages on the network if you want. Now, you can do it TSL 3.1 or TSL protocol version 5. If you pre-fill with TSL 3.1, it's gonna map inputs 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth to address 1, 2, 3, 4 and choose the bits for red and green as you want. So you can change this any way you want. You can also pre-fill with version 5 information, so you have a screen and an index and a position. So that's also a way you can do it. Let's just stay here with TSL 3.1. So that's one thing, and then you need to choose destination. So what I prefer would be to just send this out on the network to anything that cares to listen. So if you do that, you would type in the broadcast address, which on my network looks like this, like that, okay? And then we can ask it to send out TSL every 15 seconds. But let me just, let's just start with this. Okay, so I save and reboot. So again, that's necessary when we do network-related settings. Enabling this feature requires us to reboot the device. But here we are, rebooted, it's connected, everything looks great. Now, I have a TSL listener. That's another tool SKAARHOJ has made, which is called TSL Toolbox. Okay, it looks like this. And let me just clear this out. It is currently listening on that port. So what should now happen is if I press the, because I have asked it, anytime that we have a change, it's going to send out messages, okay? So let's just see what happens in the TSL monitor here. This is where we can see TSL messages on the network. So I press the cut button, and I see 2 TSL messages arriving to my tool. That's pretty cool. That's exactly what I wanted. So if I change this around, you see this is reflected exactly as you would expect from the UI. And that's what ATEM, TCP Link for ATEM is doing for you if you enable the TSL function. Very unique feature that we have also added into it right here. And by the way, there's a manual included here. And finally, if you want this to happen on a regular basis, say that you have something coming onto the network and you want to just see its, you want it to pick up the tally state currently instead of waiting for something to change, you just enable the feature I just showed you. And since it's only going to show us the changes, let's just clear all messages and just wait. There we go. We have 12 messages incoming, meaning that as a device that just comes onto the network, we are instantly, or within 15 seconds, informed about the TSL or tally state of the ATEM switcher using the TSL protocol widely available in various pieces of software. Guys, thanks for watching. If you're interested in this kind of content, please like and subscribe this video. We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We have a newsletter for monthly updates on product news and software development. And of course, we are also here anytime you want to chat with us, email us. Our sales and support team are always happy to talk to you.